There is a signal moving through your life right now. It is subtle, yet undeniable. It is proof that you are not the same person you were even yesterday. Ignore it, and you lose the chance to understand why your entire existence is already changing in ways you cannot explain. Think carefully. Have you noticed events that seem to echo themselves? A conversation that repeats with eerie precision, a number that follows you everywhere, a dream that seems to bleed into waking life. These are not accidents. These are signals. They are whispers from the fabric of reality itself, pulling you into a truth that most people will never see. This is not superstition. Science itself has already shown us that reality is not fixed. At the quantum level, particles flicker between possibilities until observed. They are not here or there. They are both and neither until consciousness chooses. What you are feeling, what you are witnessing, is not madness. It is your awareness tuning into that same principle on a personal scale. You may have brushed it aside, thinking it was just coincidence. You may have told yourself you were imagining things, but ask yourself honestly, how many times can coincidence repeat before it becomes evidence? How many times can life mirror back your inner world before you admit that something deeper is happening? Right now, you are standing at the threshold of awareness. You are catching glimpses of your own timeline shifting beneath your feet. That unsettling déjà vu. That moment when you knew what was about to happen before it unfolded. That sudden change in someone you thought you knew. All of it points to one reality. You are no longer anchored to a single path. You have been told that time is linear, that your life is a straight road moving from past to future. But what if that road has already split into countless possibilities? What if each choice you make bends the track, placing you on a new line of reality without you realizing it? The signal you are feeling is confirmation that this is already happening. Let me ask you, when you feel a surge of recognition at something you cannot explain, what do you do? Do you dismiss it? Or do you lean in? Because leaning in is where awakening begins. It is where science meets spirit. It is where you stop asking if you are imagining things and start realizing you are glimpsing the architecture of the multiverse itself. You may think this sounds extraordinary, but consider this: physicists have already proposed the existence of infinite universes, all running parallel to this one, each with a version of you making slightly different choices. And every so often those worlds brush against each other. You feel the ripple as déjà vu. You feel the shift as sudden clarity. You feel the collision as a signal. The reason you cannot ignore this is simple. Awareness changes everything. When you notice the signal, you expand your power to shape the direction you are moving in. When you deny it, you give your power away to unconscious repetition. The signal is not simply proof that timelines exist. It is proof that you are in the driver's seat, whether you acknowledge it or not. Think about the patterns in your life. Are there lessons that repeat until you finally see them? Are there doors that close, only to reopen in surprising ways? These loops are not punishments. They are opportunities. They are checkpoints between timelines, asking if you are ready to choose differently. You might ask, why me? Why now? The answer is that you have reached a state of awareness that cannot be ignored. Not everyone notices these shifts. Most people live entire lives repeating the same loop without realizing they have the power to change tracks. The fact that you are here, listening, means you are ready. It means you are already moving. Feel that truth for a moment. You are not stuck. You are not trapped. You are in motion. You are being pulled into a higher expression of yourself, and the signal is guiding you there. This realization is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to awaken you, to make you remember that every choice, every thought, every emotion is part of a vast equation. When you sense the signal, it is your higher self pointing to the math of reality and saying, watch closely, because this is how your world changes. So I will ask you again, have you noticed the bends in reality, the moments that do not quite fit into the old explanation of cause and effect? Pay attention. Those are not mistakes. They are confirmations. They are the proof that you are already walking into a new version of yourself. The signal is calling, and you must decide whether to ignore it or embrace it. To ignore it is to stay in the loop, repeating the same lessons until exhaustion. To embrace it is to step fully into the truth that your life is not bound by the limits you once believed. You are not imagining things. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are shifting right now, and the signal is your guide. To grasp this truth completely, you must understand what timeline jumping really means. You have heard the phrase jumping timelines, but what does it truly mean? It is not a fantasy or a metaphor. It is a real process happening beneath the surface of your daily life, whether you realize it or not. To understand it, you must first let go of the idea that your life is fixed on a single track. Imagine your life as a series of films running side by side. Each film carries a slightly different storyline. In one version, you choose to say yes. In another, you choose to walk away. In yet another, you choose to stay silent. All of these possibilities exist simultaneously. Quantum physics calls this the multiverse, the existence of infinite potential realities, each unfolding with its own unique path. When people speak of timeline jumping, they are describing the moment when your awareness shifts from one of these films to another. It is not that the past changes, but that your point of experience moves into the branch of reality that matches your current state of being. You are not creating something entirely new. You are aligning with what was already waiting for you. Think about it this way: your consciousness is like a radio receiver. The universe holds countless stations, all broadcasting different frequencies. The station you tune into becomes the world you experience. Timeline jumping is simply the act of shifting the dial. Most people do it unconsciously. Their emotions, thoughts, and beliefs act as signals that retune the dial without them realizing it. But when you bring awareness to this process, you can do it deliberately. This is not just spirituality speaking. At the quantum level, particles do not occupy a single place until they are observed. They exist in probabilities, superpositions, overlapping possibilities. Your consciousness collapses those probabilities into one experienced reality. When your inner state changes, your beliefs, your energy, your identity, you collapse a different probability field. You jump. You may have felt it without knowing the language for it. One day your life feels heavy, closed, and repetitive. Then something shifts. A new opportunity appears out of nowhere. A relationship changes course. A door you thought was locked swings wide open. It feels sudden, but it is not random. It is evidence of a timeline shift. Many traditions describe this phenomenon in spiritual terms. Some call it ascension. Some call it awakening. Others call it destiny. But the essence is the same. You are moving into an alternate stream of reality that mirrors who you are becoming, not who you used to be. You are not stuck. You are moving. Repeat this to yourself. You are not stuck. You are moving. Because the truth is that your life has never been a single unbroken road. It has always been a web of paths waiting for you to choose. Every thought you hold, every belief you embody, every vibration you send out pushes you toward one path and away from another. Timeline jumping does not mean you erase your past. It means you are no longer bound by it. The person who suffered yesterday is not the same person who is awakening today. The moment you claim a new identity, you shift to a new version of yourself who has already walked beyond that suffering. That is why the old patterns suddenly fall away when you awaken to them. You are no longer on that frequency. You are tuned elsewhere. So when you hear the phrase jumping timelines, understand that it is not a rare or mystical event reserved for the chosen few. It is a natural process happening all the time. The difference is that you are finally seeing it. You are finally aware of the shifts. And with awareness comes power. Because now you can choose. You can consciously align your energy, your focus, your intentions with the timeline that holds your highest potential. You can decide which version of reality to inhabit. You are no longer a passenger being carried by unconscious momentum. You are the driver, the navigator, the creator. Do not underestimate the power of this truth. When you realize that timeline jumping is real, you stop asking whether change is possible. You begin to see that change is inevitable. The question is not if you will jump, but where you will land. Hold on to this affirmation as you move forward. You are not stuck, you are moving. Say it again. You are not stuck, you are moving. Let those words settle into you like a seed of freedom. But for this to feel fully real, you need to see how science itself points to the same conclusion. You need to understand the physics of parallel realities and why your own life already provides the proof. You have felt the shifts, but to anchor your understanding, you need to see how science itself opens the door to parallel realities. The mystical is not separate from the measurable. It is only described in different languages. When you see the scientific foundation, the signals in your life will make even more sense. In physics, there is a principle called superposition. At the quantum level, a particle is not in a single location or state until it is observed. It exists as a cloud of probabilities, here, there, everywhere, all at once. Imagine a coin that is both heads and tails until you actually look at it. This is not speculation. It has been demonstrated in laboratories again and again. The particle does not commit until awareness collapses the wave of possibilities into one outcome. Now extend that principle beyond a particle. Imagine your life itself as a wave of possibilities. Every potential choice, every possible outcome already exists in that cloud of probability. Which one you experience depends on the observation, your consciousness. This is the observer effect. Science discovered it as a mathematical principle, but spiritually, it translates into something deeply personal. Reality takes shape according to the way you see it. Another concept in quantum physics is decoherence. This is the process by which possible states branch into distinct outcomes. When you choose, you align with one path. The others continue to exist, but your awareness travels only with the line you selected. It is as if reality is a tree with countless branches, and each moment of focus carries you to a different limb. You may not remember the others, but they remain alive. This is how many scientists explain the multiverse, infinite versions of reality coexisting side by side, each containing a different arrangement of choices and events. Now pause for a moment. If infinite versions of you exist, what does that say about the one who is listening right now? Which version are you? And more importantly, which version will you choose to continue being? This is where science and spirituality merge. Physics gives you the framework. Consciousness gives you the key. When your inner state shifts, when your beliefs, emotions, and identity change, you are not simply thinking differently. You are aligning with a different branch of reality that already holds the version of events that matches who you are becoming. You may have experienced this without realizing it. One moment, life feels locked in repetition. The next, it feels as if the universe has rearranged itself to open a door that was never there before. That shift is not random. It is the result of your awareness moving into resonance with a different probability branch. Science describes it in equations. Your spirit feels it as transformation. Consider the double-slit experiment, one of the most famous demonstrations in physics. When particles are fired at two slits without observation, they behave like waves, creating an interference pattern, as if each particle explores every possibility at once. But when they are observed, they collapse into a single path, striking as particles. Awareness changes the outcome. Awareness decides what becomes real. If this principle applies to particles, why would it not also apply to you? The multiverse theory expands on this by proposing that all outcomes happen, each in its own reality. The you who turned left exists, the you who turned right exists, the you who hesitated exists, and the you who is here now listening exists. You feel continuity because your awareness is focused on one version, but the others are still alive. When your inner vibration shifts, when your consciousness reattunes, you experience what mystics call a timeline jump. This is not just theory. Look at your own experiences. The moments when events seem to echo across time. The sudden recognition of something you should not know. The sense that you are not quite the same person you were before. These lived experiences mirror what science is already telling us. Reality is not fixed. It is fluid, and your awareness is the agent of collapse. Think about this carefully. If particles can exist in multiple states until observed, and if reality itself is built from those particles, then does it not follow that your life too exists in multiple states until you direct your awareness? This is the power of observation. This is the power you carry. Science may not use the language of spirit, but the implication is clear. You are not walking through a single predetermined line of time. You are navigating a sea of possibilities. With each breath, you select. With each thought, you tune. With each belief, you step into a different branch of the infinite. So when you hear about parallel realities, do not imagine them as faraway worlds. They are here, layered upon one another, woven into the fabric of now. Your awareness is the thread that stitches you into one timeline or another. And here is the truth. You are already shifting. Every time your state changes, you align with a new version of reality. Every time you choose love over fear, trust over doubt, awareness over denial, you leap to a higher branch. You may not notice it in the moment, but when you look back, you see the evidence, the clues that life has rearranged itself in ways logic cannot explain. Science gives you the framework. Spirit gives you the meaning. Together they reveal a truth you can no longer deny. You are the observer. You are the catalyst. You are the one collapsing waves of probability into lived reality. And yet, science alone is not enough. Equations cannot convince you as deeply as your own life can. The real proof lies in the signals you have already experienced, the shifts you have already lived through. Science gives the framework, but your own life offers proof through the signs you are already seeing. You have seen the science. You understand the framework, but the deepest proof does not come from equations. It comes from your own life. The truth is, you are already experiencing signals that confirm you are shifting timelines. They are not random. They are markers, evidence that reality is bending to the vibration you carry. Think about the last time you felt déjà vu. That eerie sensation that you had lived a moment before, even though it was brand new. Déjà vu is not just a trick of memory. It is a ripple between parallel timelines. It is your awareness brushing against a version of reality where the moment has already happened. When you feel it, you are touching proof that multiple paths of your life coexist right now. Repeating numbers are another sign. Maybe you constantly notice 1111 or 333 or patterns that follow you throughout the day. These are not accidents. They are synchronicities, signals coded into the fabric of reality. Physics calls it resonance, frequencies aligning in harmony. Spirit calls it guidance, the universe nudging you to pay attention. When these numbers appear, they are reminding you that you are in motion, stepping into alignment with a different frequency of self. Have you ever noticed sudden changes in relationships? A person you thought you knew shifts overnight. They seem different, as if a subtle rewrite has occurred, or perhaps someone vanishes from your life suddenly, as if their role in your story has ended. These are not coincidences. They are the natural rearrangements that occur when you jump timelines. The cast of your reality adjusts to match the vibration you have chosen. Dreams also carry evidence. You may wake up from a dream that feels more real than waking life. Sometimes, the dream continues when you open your eyes, as if the boundary between sleep and waking dissolved. These are not ordinary dreams. They are glimpses of alternate realities, windows into the paths you are weaving through. When you experience them, you are being shown that your awareness is not locked to one timeline. It can travel. Even memory itself becomes fluid. Perhaps you recall details that others do not. You insist something happened, but everyone around you remembers it differently. This is known as the Mandela effect, and while skeptics dismiss it as faulty memory, the experience holds deeper meaning. It is the residue of having shifted timelines. You carry the memory of one version, while those around you are tuned into another. Think carefully about your own life. Have you felt moments when you seemed out of place in your own story, as if you woke up in a slightly altered version of your world? That was not imagination. That was a signal. That was proof. Your emotional landscape also carries evidence. Have you noticed that when you rise into joy, gratitude, or deep clarity, events around you rearrange to match that state? Opportunities appear, synchronicities unfold, life feels lighter, smoother, more aligned. Then, when you fall into fear or despair, everything seems to constrict. Doors close, problems multiply. This is not just psychological perception, it is resonance. Your inner vibration determines the branch of reality you experience. One of the clearest signals comes when patterns repeat until you finally notice them. The same lesson shows up in different disguises. The same challenge circles back again and again. These loops are not punishments. They are checkpoints. They are reality's way of saying, until you recognize and transform this, you cannot move into the higher timeline that awaits you. The moment you shift your awareness, the loop dissolves. That is the moment of the jump. It is important to remember that not all signals feel comfortable. Sometimes, timeline shifts feel like chaos. You may lose things, relationships or identities you thought defined you, but in truth, these losses are signs of transition. They are confirmations that you no longer belong to the old frequency. Your life is shedding what no longer fits to make space for the self you are becoming. Pause for a moment and reflect. Which of these signals have you experienced? Déjà vu, synchronicities, drifts in relationships, dreams that bleed into waking life, repeating lessons that push you to grow. Each one is proof. Each one is a marker of motion. You are not imagining it. You are not stuck. You are moving. Let this realization settle into you. The universe is not silent. It speaks to you constantly, in signs and signals woven into the details of your life. The question is whether you notice. When you notice, the signal strengthens. When you ignore, it repeats louder until you cannot look away. Think of yourself as both scientist and mystic. As scientist, you observe the data, patterns, synchronicities, anomalies. As mystic, you interpret the meaning, guidance, alignment, transformation. When the two perspectives merge, you begin to see the truth that your entire life is shaped by the awareness you bring to these signals. Right now, you may feel a stirring in your heart, a quiet recognition that this is not theory, this is your lived experience. And if that is true, then the only conclusion is that you are the observer. Your attention is not passive. It is the catalyst. The signs you have lived are not random events. They are evidence that you are bending reality with your awareness. You are tuning the dial. You are already jumping timelines, whether consciously or not. And so the question becomes, what does it mean to be the observer? How does your very act of noticing transform the world around you? All of these experiences point to one truth. You are the observer, and your attention is the catalyst. Everything you have noticed so far, the signs, the shifts, the patterns, points toward a single truth. You are not just a participant in reality. You are the observer, and the observer changes what is observed. In quantum physics, this is known as the observer effect. When scientists study particles, they find that the act of observation alters the behavior of those particles. Left unobserved, they exist in a haze of probability. Observed, they collapse into a specific state. The simple presence of awareness changes the outcome. This principle has been proven in experiment after experiment, but its meaning extends far beyond the laboratory. You are that observer. Your consciousness is the force that collapses probabilities into events. Your attention is not passive, it is creative. Wherever you place it, reality bends to respond. When you ignore, possibilities remain abstract. When you notice, they solidify. This is why awareness matters so deeply. It is not just perception, it is power. Think about the moments when you truly see something. When you bring focused attention to your life, it changes. Problems that seemed immovable dissolve when you give them clear, conscious presence. Opportunities multiply when you recognize them instead of dismissing them. The world around you reshapes itself in response to your gaze. The moment you see it, you change it. This is not just philosophy, it is science applied to your lived experience. The observer effect demonstrates that matter itself responds to awareness. You are not simply looking at the universe, you are participating in its unfolding. Each thought, each focus, each interpretation directs which version of reality you experience. Ask yourself, what are you observing most often? Are you fixated on fear, doubt, or limitation? Then those are the states you collapse into reality. Or are you choosing to observe possibility, growth, and alignment? Then those become the paths that solidify before you. Observation is choice, and choice is creation. You have more power than you realize. Most people drift through life unconsciously, observing without awareness, collapsing probabilities into versions of reality they do not actually want. They focus on problems, so problems expand. They focus on lack, so lack hardens into form. But when you awaken to the truth of the observer effect, you reclaim the role of catalyst. You stop drifting, you start directing. The moment you become conscious of your focus, you shift your trajectory. You stop feeding the realities that drain you. You begin to nourish the realities that align with your highest potential. This is why mindfulness, presence, and intentional awareness are not small practices. They are the tools of reality creation. They are how you, the observer, shape your universe. You might wonder, if observation is so powerful, why do so many people remain trapped in cycles they do not want? The answer is simple: unconscious observation. They do not realize that their repeated focus on limitation is shaping their experience. They think they are powerless, when in truth they are powerful without knowing it. Awakening is the moment you realize the direction of your attention is the steering wheel of your timeline. Let this truth sink in. The moment you see it, you change it. The moment you bring awareness, the pattern cannot remain the same. The loop cannot continue untouched. The reality must shift, because you have become the catalyst. Take a moment now to reflect on your own life. Where have you seen this truth play out? A relationship that changed the moment you recognized its lesson. A habit that dissolved the instant you became fully aware of it. A breakthrough that arrived the second you shifted your focus. Each of these moments is evidence. They show you that observation is not neutral, it is transformative. And so, the question is no longer whether you are the observer. The question is, what will you choose to observe? Because your attention is currency. Wherever you spend it, reality pays dividends. Spend it on fear, and you collapse into fear's reality. Spend it on love, and you collapse into love's reality. Spend it on awakening, and you collapse into the timeline where awakening unfolds fully. Remember this affirmation as you carry it forward. The moment you see it, you change it. Say it again. The moment you see it, you change it. Let those words become a rhythm in your mind, because they are not just words, they are truth. You are not a bystander. You are the catalyst. You are the one through whom probabilities become reality. And once you recognize this, you can no longer claim to be powerless. You can only claim responsibility. The next step is to understand that it is not just your attention, but the energy you bring with it that shapes which timeline you inhabit, because observation alone collapses reality. But it is the emotional frequency behind your observation that decides which version of reality you step into. And the energy you bring, your emotional frequency, determines which version of reality you align with. You now understand that your observation collapses possibilities into lived experience, but the question is deeper. What kind of reality do you collapse? The answer lies in your emotional frequency. It is not enough to simply look. The energy with which you look determines the shape of what you see. Every emotion carries a vibration. Fear vibrates low and heavy, pulling you into realities where limitation dominates. Joy vibrates high and expansive, aligning you with timelines of possibility and freedom. Gratitude resonates at a frequency that attracts harmony, while anger locks you into cycles of resistance. Your emotions are not random reactions, they are vibrational keys that unlock different doors of reality. Think about how your world shifts when your emotional state changes. In despair, everything feels closed, opportunities seem invisible, relationships feel strained, and the future looks narrow. Then, a shift happens. Perhaps you find gratitude in something small. Perhaps you release an old resentment. Suddenly, the world opens. Conversations change. Synchronicities appear. Doors swing open that you did not even know were there. What changed? Not the world itself, but the frequency you broadcast into it. This is why identity and emotion are inseparable. Who you believe yourself to be generates your emotional baseline. If you see yourself as powerless, you naturally feel fear, doubt, or hopelessness. Those emotions align you with timelines where your power is hidden. But when you claim the identity of creator, when you affirm that you are the observer and the catalyst, your emotions shift toward empowerment, trust, and inspiration. And with those emotions, your timeline shifts as well. This is not just spiritual metaphor. Neuroscience shows that emotions are tied to neurochemical patterns in the brain. When you shift your emotions, you rewire the neural pathways that shape perception. In that moment, your brain literally begins constructing a new version of reality. Spiritual traditions call this energy. Science calls it neuroplasticity. The result is the same. When your emotional frequency shifts, your entire universe rearranges. Reflect on this in your own life. Can you remember a time when one decision to change your emotional state changed everything? Perhaps you chose compassion instead of judgment, and a relationship healed. Perhaps you chose courage instead of fear, and a new opportunity appeared. In those moments, you did not simply change how you felt. You jumped. You stepped into a new version of yourself, one whose reality aligned with the new frequency. Your feelings are not small. They are signals to the field of reality. Every emotion declares, "This is who I am right now." And the universe, like a mirror, reflects back that declaration. If you walk in sadness, you meet versions of life that echo sadness. If you walk in love, you meet versions of life that echo love. You cannot fake it, because the vibration does not lie. Reality responds to who you are, not just what you want. This is why affirmations matter, not as empty words, but as vibrational anchors. When you repeat, "I am not stuck, I am moving," you are not simply saying it, you are shifting into the frequency of movement. You are embodying the identity of someone who flows with reality instead of resisting it. Affirmations are reminders to tune yourself back into the vibration that aligns with your highest timeline. And here is the beauty: your emotional frequency is always within your control. You may not control every event, but you control the state with which you meet those events. That choice is everything. It is the steering wheel of your timeline. The difference between being trapped in an old cycle and stepping into a higher one is as simple and as profound as choosing a new frequency. Let this truth echo inside you. When your feelings change, your entire universe rearranges. Say it again. When your feelings change, your entire universe rearranges. This is not just poetic, it is scientific and spiritual fact. So do not dismiss your emotions as temporary moods. They are the instruments with which you tune yourself to the field of infinite realities. Play them consciously. Choose them deliberately. When you rise in frequency, you rise in reality. When you embody a higher identity, you step into a timeline where that identity is already real. And yet, to fully understand the scope of this, you must challenge one of the deepest illusions humanity has held, the idea that time is linear, fixed, and unchanging. Because the truth is, time itself is far more fluid than you were taught to believe. But to truly understand, we must shatter one of the deepest illusions: linear time. You have been taught to see time as a straight line, past behind you, present here, future ahead. It feels simple, logical, and safe. But what if that image is not true? What if time is not a straight road at all, but a vast field where all moments coexist at once? Physics has already begun to dismantle the old picture. Einstein's theory of relativity showed that time is not fixed. It stretches and contracts depending on speed and gravity. For an astronaut moving near the speed of light, 1 hour may equal decades on Earth. Time is not absolute. It is relative, flexible, and woven into the fabric of space itself. Quantum physics goes even further. At the smallest scales, time loses its meaning. Particles flicker between states without sequence. Some theories even suggest that cause and effect can reverse, that the future can influence the past as much as the past influences the future. If this is true for matter, why would it not also be true for your lived experience? Now consider spiritual wisdom. For centuries, mystics have declared that time is an illusion. They speak of eternal now, a timeless presence in which all pasts and all futures exist simultaneously. They describe visions of future events, memories of lives not yet lived, and awakenings that dissolve the boundaries of yesterday and tomorrow. What physics hints at, spirit has long proclaimed: time is not linear. Think about your own experience. Have you ever had a dream that later unfolded in waking life? Have you felt a sudden memory of something that has not yet happened? Have you known with absolute certainty what someone was about to say before they said it? These are cracks in the illusion. They are moments when your awareness steps outside the straight road and glimpses the wider field. Ask yourself, what if the future you is watching you now? What if your choices in this moment ripple backward as well as forward? What if the self you are becoming is already real, already alive, already waiting, and your task is simply to align with it? When you hold on to the illusion of linear time, you trap yourself in limitation. You tell yourself, I cannot be free yet. I cannot be abundant yet. I cannot be awakened yet. You imagine those states are far away, waiting in a distant future, but the truth is different. They already exist in parallel now. The moment you shift your awareness, you step into them. This is why transformation can feel sudden. One moment you are locked in struggle, the next you are free. One moment you cannot imagine change, the next you are living it. What happened? You did not wait for the future to arrive. You stepped sideways into a timeline where that future was already present. Your brain itself reflects this. Neuroscience has discovered that the mind does not distinguish sharply between memory and imagination. When you vividly recall the past or imagine the future, your brain lights up in nearly identical ways. Why? Because on a deeper level, past and future are not separate categories. They are both accessible in the present field of consciousness. This is why practices like visualization, meditation, and deep presence are so powerful. When you imagine a future state with full emotional energy, you are not pretending. You are aligning with a timeline where that state already exists. You are collapsing into it by living it now. The universe responds not to when you believe something will happen, but to the frequency you embody in the present. Think of time as a book, not a road. Every page already exists. The page you are reading feels like the present, but the pages before and after are no less real. You do not create them. You simply turn to them. In the same way, you do not drag the future into being. You turn the page into the timeline that matches your vibration. So what does this mean for you right now? It means the limits you place on yourself because of time are illusions. You say, it will take me years to become who I want to be. But what if that version of you already exists? What if the only barrier is your willingness to shift identity and frequency now? The illusion of linear time is powerful because it convinces you that you are separate from your potential. It tells you that you must wait. It tells you that you are bound. But the moment you see through it, you realize you can step into your higher timeline instantly. Not tomorrow, not in 5 years. Now. Let this truth settle in you. The past is not holding you. The future is not waiting for you. Both are alive in this moment, and your awareness decides which version you live. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "One day I will stop and remember," one day is now. The self who is awakened is already here. The self who is free is already here. The self who is living in alignment is already here. The only question is whether you will turn the page. Do not be fooled by the clock. Do not be trapped by the calendar. Time is not a straight line carrying you helplessly forward. It is a field, and you are the one who chooses where to stand within it. And once you see this, once you break the illusion of linear time, the evidence around you becomes undeniable. You begin to notice the real-life clues that you have already shifted. This leads to the most undeniable evidence, real-life clues that you have already shifted. You now know that time is not a straight road, but a field of possibilities. Yet knowledge alone is not enough. What makes this truth undeniable are the clues already present in your life. These are not abstract theories. They are real-world signals that show you have shifted into different timelines. The question is whether you have noticed them. Think first about the Mandela effect. Perhaps you remember a detail one way, but others remember it differently. A logo, a line in a film, even a historical event. To some, these are just memory errors. But to those who are awake, they are evidence of shifts. You carry the memory of one version of reality, while others are tuned to another. This is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that you are moving. Another clue is sudden skill or knowledge you cannot explain. Maybe one day you discover you can play an instrument more easily than before, or you understand a subject without knowing why. It feels as though you skipped steps, as if the work was already done in another version of you. This is not an accident. It is a signal that you have stepped into a timeline where that growth was already complete. Relationships often reveal the shift as well. A friend who once drained you suddenly feels distant, as though they belong to a past version of your life, or a stranger appears who feels instantly familiar, as though you have known them forever. These changes in connection are not random. They are the natural adjustments of timelines. The cast of your reality reshapes itself to match the vibration you are carrying. Your physical environment can carry clues too. Objects seem to vanish and reappear. A photo looks different than you remember. The layout of a place seems slightly altered. These subtle anomalies are not mistakes. They are markers of transition, reminders that reality itself is more fluid than you have been told. But the most personal clues come from within you. Have you ever woken up and felt like a different person? As if your perspective had shifted overnight. One day the same old problems feel impossible, and the next they feel irrelevant, as though they belonged to someone else. That is because they did. You stepped into a version of yourself that no longer carries those patterns. The past feels like it happened to a stranger because in truth, it did. Dreams often bridge the gap between timelines. You may dream of events that unfold soon after, or you may dream of realities that feel more vivid than waking life. Sometimes you wake with the sense that you crossed over while you slept. These are not just dreams. They are glimpses of alternate paths, reminders that your awareness can travel beyond the limits of one version of reality. Pause for a moment and reflect. Which of these have you experienced? Have you noticed a memory that no one else seems to share? Have you felt skills appear without practice? Have you awakened to a day where your perspective is unrecognizable from yesterday? These are not coincidences, they are proof. Reality itself speaks in whispers and echoes. The signs may seem small at first, but together they paint a picture that cannot be denied. You are shifting. You are moving. You are already living in timelines, beyond the one you once thought was fixed. It is important to remember that these clues are not always dramatic. Sometimes they arrive quietly, a repeated number on the clock, a phrase you needed to hear spoken at the exact right time, a subtle change in atmosphere when you step into a room. These moments may seem ordinary, but they are charged with meaning. They are signals confirming that you are in motion. And as you grow more aware, the signals grow louder. Synchronicities multiply. Patterns reveal themselves faster. The universe seems to conspire with you, arranging events in ways that defy chance. What skeptics call coincidence, you recognize as communication. Reality is showing you that you are already on a different track. This realization is powerful. Once you see the clues, you can no longer pretend that reality is fixed. You know in your heart and in your experience that you are moving between versions of yourself, and with that knowledge comes responsibility. Because if you are already shifting unconsciously, what would happen if you began to shift deliberately? But before we explore that responsibility, there is one signal above all others that proves beyond doubt you are jumping timelines. It is the hidden signal that so many dismiss, yet it carries the clearest evidence of all. And yet, there is one signal above all others that confirms you are jumping timelines. All the clues you have seen so far point toward one undeniable truth: you are already shifting timelines. But there is one signal that rises above them all, one that is more powerful, more consistent, and more personal than anything else. It is the signal that most people dismiss, yet it is the clearest evidence of your transformation. That signal is synchronicity. Synchronicity is not chance. It is not coincidence. It is alignment. It is the universe arranging events, symbols, and encounters in ways that mirror your inner state. The reason it is the most important signal is because it is precise. It arrives at the exact moment you need it. It carries the exact message your awareness is ready to receive. It appears in forms you cannot ignore, yet it feels so personal, you know it was meant for you. Think about the last time you were wrestling with a decision, and suddenly the answer appeared in the form of a conversation, a book, or even a song lyric. Think about the moments when numbers, symbols, or phrases appeared again and again, until the repetition became impossible to deny. These are not random. They are the language of synchronicity, the hidden code of the universe confirming that your inner vibration has already tuned to a new reality. Why does synchronicity matter so much? Because it proves connection. It demonstrates that your inner world and outer world are not separate. They are reflections of the same field. When your thoughts, emotions, and identity shift, the world around you reorganizes to match. The signal of synchronicity is the mirror, showing you in undeniable terms that you have moved. Science may not use the word synchronicity, but even here the principle is visible. Complexity theory shows us that systems naturally self-organize when energy is introduced. Physics shows us that resonance draws matching frequencies into harmony. Synchronicity is simply this principle made visible in your daily life. When you shift frequency, you resonate with new patterns, new events, new alignments. What looks like coincidence is actually coherence. The reason most people ignore this signal is because they are trained to dismiss it. They are told, it is just random. It is nothing, but you know better. You feel the precision. You feel the personal nature of it. You sense that these alignments are speaking directly to you, as though reality itself has become a guide, and when you honor them instead of dismissing them, they grow stronger. Ask yourself, what synchronicities are you dismissing as coincidence? Which patterns have been repeating in your life that you have chosen to overlook? Are you noticing the same numbers, the same words, the same themes reappearing? Are you meeting people at the exact moment they hold the key to your next step? These are not accidents. They are signals. They are proof. Synchronicity is not passive. It is directional. It shows you not just that you are shifting, but where you are shifting to. It reveals the quality of the timeline you are stepping into. If the synchronicities you encounter feel uplifting, expansive, and filled with resonance, you know you are aligning with a higher branch of reality. If they feel heavy, chaotic, or constricting, you know you are tuning into a lower branch. Either way, the signal is there to guide you. This is why awareness matters so much. The more you pay attention, the clearer the signal becomes. At first, synchronicity feels rare, a strange event here, a coincidence there. But as your awareness expands, the signal multiplies. You begin to live in a state of flow where reality feels like it is speaking to you constantly. Decisions become easier because guidance is everywhere. Obstacles dissolve because alignments carry you forward. You are no longer walking alone. You are walking with the rhythm of the universe itself. Do not underestimate this. Synchronicity is the bridge between science and spirit. It is the lived experience of the observer effect. It is the proof that when you shift internally, the external shifts with you. It is the evidence that your life is not bound by linear cause and effect, but by resonance and alignment. Consider the affirmation, "You are the signal." When you embody a new frequency, reality echoes it back in synchronicity. You are not waiting for proof. You are generating proof by who you are. The synchronicities you see are the reflections of your own transformation. They are the echoes of your identity made visible in the world. And here is the key: ignoring synchronicity delays transformation. When you dismiss the signals, you silence the dialogue between your inner and outer worlds. The universe repeats the lesson until you finally listen. But when you honor synchronicity, when you follow where it points, the path accelerates. Your timeline jump becomes smoother, clearer, faster. So I will ask you again, what synchronicities are you dismissing as coincidence? Think of them now. The repeating patterns, the meaningful encounters, the signs that felt too precise to ignore. They were not random. They were proof that you are already moving. They were the hidden signal, waiting for you to recognize it. Feel the weight of this realization. The universe has been speaking to you all along. Every signal you have brushed aside was an invitation. Every synchronicity was proof that your higher self was guiding you. You are not lost. You are being shown the way. This is the hidden signal. This is the evidence you can no longer deny. You are jumping timelines, and reality itself is leaving you messages to confirm it. Now that you see the signal, the question becomes urgent. How do you align with your highest timeline deliberately? How do you stop shifting unconsciously and begin choosing with full awareness? Now that you see the signal, the question becomes, how do you align with your highest timeline? Now that you see the signal, the next step is not just to notice it, but to use it. The truth is, you are always shifting timelines, but the quality of the timeline you enter depends on your alignment. To align with your highest timeline is to consciously choose the version of reality that reflects your fullest potential. It is not about forcing the universe. It is about tuning yourself to the version of you that already exists at a higher state of being. How do you begin? You start with awareness. The moment you notice your thoughts drifting into fear or limitation, you catch them. You do not fight them. You simply observe and redirect. In doing so, you shift your point of resonance. The universe does not respond to your wishes alone. It responds to the vibration behind them. When your awareness expands, you begin to broadcast a different frequency. That frequency is what aligns you with the path you desire. This is where the science of neuroplasticity becomes essential. Neuroscience has shown that the brain rewires itself based on repeated thought and emotion. Every time you choose gratitude over fear, courage over hesitation, trust over doubt, you carve new pathways in your brain. These pathways create a new perception of reality. And because perception is the filter through which you collapse probabilities, you literally build a new world for yourself. This is the scientific foundation for spiritual practice. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for alignment. When you sit in silence, when you detach from the constant stream of thought, you return to pure awareness. In that state, you are not bound by old stories. You are not tied to old identities. You are the observer, free to choose again. Meditation is how you retune the dial of your consciousness to the highest station available. It is how you align with the version of yourself that already embodies peace, clarity, and expansion. Visualization is another tool. When you imagine yourself living a higher reality and you feel the emotions of it as if it were already true, you are not pretending. You are collapsing into that frequency. Remember, your brain does not distinguish strongly between real and vividly imagined experiences. When you embody the feelings of your desired timeline, your brain and body act as if it is happening now. The universe responds by aligning you with the version of reality that matches. Identity embodiment is the final key. You cannot align with your highest timeline while holding on to the identity of your lowest one. If you continue to say, "I am stuck, I am broken, I am powerless," then that is the frequency you broadcast. Instead, you must claim the identity of the one who has already shifted. You affirm, "I am moving, I am aligned, I am free." These are not just words, they are declarations of frequency. They are the signals that summon the timeline of your highest self. Do not underestimate the importance of repetition. Alignment is not a single choice. It is a continual practice. Each moment is an opportunity to shift. Each thought is a fork in the path. When you fall out of alignment, do not despair. Simply choose again. Every time you return to awareness, every time you return to intention, you leap back toward the timeline that reflects your deepest truth. Feel this affirmation now. You are already living the future you are calling in. Say it again. You are already living the future you are calling in. Let the words settle in your mind and body. They are not wishful thinking. They are fact. The self you desire to become already exists, and with each choice to align, you merge more fully with that version. And here is the paradox. Aligning with your highest timeline is not about striving to reach something far away. It is about relaxing into what already is. The door is open. The version of you who is awake, free, and empowered is not in the future. That self exists now. When you let go of resistance and choose to embody that frequency, you step into it instantly. This is the invitation of alignment. Not to struggle, not to wait, but to live now as the version of yourself who has already shifted. When you do this consistently, reality has no choice but to mirror it back. The synchronicities multiply, the signs strengthen, the opportunities align. You are no longer wandering between possibilities. Unconsciously, you are walking deliberately into the timeline of your highest self. But with this realization comes something deeper. Alignment is not just a gift, it is also a responsibility, because once you know you are the creator of your reality, you can no longer pretend you are powerless. The question becomes, what will you do with this awakening? But with great awakening comes great responsibility, and few are willing to face it. To awaken is not simply to feel wonder. It is not simply to notice signs or enjoy synchronicities. Awakening carries responsibility, because once you know that your thoughts, emotions, and awareness shape your reality, you can no longer claim innocence. You are the observer, the catalyst, the creator. That truth carries weight. Many people long for awakening, but few are ready for what it demands. To awaken is to realize that every complaint, every judgment, every focus on limitation is not harmless. It is a choice that collapses you into a lower reality. The more aware you become, the less you can hide from this. Responsibility grows in proportion to awareness. The universe reflects you more quickly, more clearly. The timelines you enter are shaped more directly by the energy you carry. This can feel heavy at first. You may think, if I am responsible, then I must never feel fear, never feel doubt. That is not true. Responsibility is not perfection. It is awareness. It is knowing that when fear rises, you have the power to observe it without surrendering to it. It is knowing that when doubt appears, you can shift into trust. The difference between the awakened and the unaware is not the absence of challenge, but the presence of choice. To take responsibility is to claim your creative authority. It is to stop blaming others for your state of being. It is to stop waiting for external rescue. You recognize that every relationship, every obstacle, every opportunity is a reflection of your frequency. When you own this, you reclaim your power. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you begin to ask, "What am I broadcasting, and how can I shift it?" This responsibility extends beyond your personal life. When you awaken, your vibration influences not only your own timeline, but also the collective. Your energy contributes to the field we all share. When you rise, you invite others to rise. When you fall, you ripple contraction into the whole. This is why awakening is not just about personal fulfillment. It is about service. The highest timelines are not just better for you, they are better for all. Ask yourself, if you are awake, what will you do with it? Will you use it only to escape discomfort, or will you use it to create more harmony, more healing, more truth in the collective reality? Awakening calls you to act with intention, to embody your alignment not just for yourself, but as a gift to the world. This is the sacred responsibility, to walk awake in a sleeping world, to hold light where others hold fear, to embody possibility where others see limitation, to live as proof that reality is fluid and that freedom is real. Do not fear this responsibility. It is not a burden but a privilege. It means you matter. It means your choices are powerful. It means your presence carries weight in the great equation of existence. If your vibration were meaningless, the universe would not echo it back. The very fact that you see the signals proves that you are significant. Responsibility is the bridge between knowledge and transformation. To know that you shape reality is one thing. To live as though it is true is another. Responsibility asks you to close that gap, to embody the truth in every action, every word, every thought. And here is the paradox. The more responsibility you embrace, the freer you become. Because when you stop waiting for others to change, you realize you can change yourself. When you stop blaming the world, you realize you can create a new one. Responsibility is liberation disguised as duty. So embrace it. You are awake, you are powerful, you are the signal. The question now is not whether the signs are real. You have seen them. The question is, what will you do with this awakening? This brings us to the final proof, and a decision only you can make. You have walked through every signal. You have felt the evidence in your own life. You have seen how science and spirit both point to the same truth. You are not stuck in a single timeline. You are shifting, always shifting. And now it is time to face the final proof. The final proof is not found in theory, or in abstract philosophy, or even in the experiments of science. The final proof is you. Your life is the evidence. Your experiences are the undeniable record that timelines are not fixed. Every synchronicity, every shift, every echo of déjà vu, every unexpected breakthrough you have lived is the universe confirming this reality. You do not need anyone to convince you because your own story has already shown you. The truth is simple, but it carries immense power. You are the signal. The reason you notice the signs is because they are reflections of you. The reason reality bends is because you are the observer. The final proof is not outside you. It is within you. It is the living fact that your awareness, your frequency, and your identity are constantly reshaping the version of reality you experience. Think of how many times you have felt reality respond to your inner world. You thought of someone, and they called you. You shifted into gratitude, and life seemed to rearrange itself in your favor. You let go of a heavy identity, and opportunities began to flow. These moments are not random. They are confirmations. They are reality showing you that you have already jumped. And so now comes the decision. Will you continue shifting unconsciously, carried by old patterns and unexamined fears, or will you step fully into conscious alignment with your highest timeline? This is the choice before you. It is not a choice that can be delayed indefinitely. The signals will not stop. The synchronicities will not quiet. The universe will continue speaking until you answer. To step into your highest timeline, you must first accept the truth. You are not waiting for transformation. You are already transformed. You are not waiting for awakening. You are already awake. The signals prove it. The synchronicities confirm it. The science explains it. The only step left is to claim it. This is why the call to action is so important, because knowledge without action fades, awareness without embodiment dissolves. You have reached the threshold, you have seen the evidence, you have remembered the truth. Now it is time to live it. Begin by affirming this truth. This is my proof. This is my timeline. I am stepping into it fully now. Repeat it. Let it take root. Feel it as identity, not as wish. Because the moment you declare it with conviction, the universe echoes it back in reality. Do not wait for more signs to appear before you act. The signs are already here. Do not wait for more proof to arrive before you believe. The proof is already within you. The signal has been calling you, and you have heard it. That alone is confirmation. Now it is time to embody what you have learned. When you wake tomorrow, remember that every thought is a choice of alignment. When you feel fear, remember that it is only one frequency among many, and you can tune higher. When you doubt, remember that doubt itself is a timeline, and you are free to leave it. Your freedom is not in the future, it is now. The final proof is lived through action. When you choose to act as the awakened self, the universe reshapes itself around you. When you step forward with faith instead of hesitation, life bends to meet you. When you embody the identity of your highest self, you collapse into the reality where that self is already real. This is the essence of awakening, to stop seeking proof outside and to live as the proof within. Your life becomes the evidence. Your presence becomes the signal. Others begin to see it in you, to feel it in you, to awaken because of you. This is how one awakened soul can shift not only personal timelines, but collective ones. This is how responsibility becomes service, and service becomes destiny. So I ask you one last time, what will you do with this awakening? Will you dismiss it and return to sleep? Or will you rise into the fullness of who you already are? The choice is yours, but understand, the signal will not disappear. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unknow what you now know. The only path forward is deeper embodiment. This is where I invite you to act. If this message resonates with you, share your experience. Let others know that they are not alone in noticing the signs. Speak your truth so that others may recognize their own. When you do, you amplify the signal. You strengthen the field. You accelerate the awakening of those around you. And if you feel called to continue this journey with me, subscribe now. Join this community of conscious observers, catalysts, and creators who are walking the same path. Every video you watch, every discussion you join, every signal you honor will reinforce your alignment. Together we are weaving higher timelines, not only for ourselves, but for the world. Remember this, the proof has never been outside you. It has always been you. The signal you were waiting for is the awareness you now hold. The shift you were hoping for is the shift you are already living. This is your timeline. This is your moment. This is your awakening. Say it once more. This is my proof. This is my timeline. I am stepping into it fully now. The journey does not end here. In truth, it begins here. From this moment, you are no longer the seeker. You are the signal. You are the proof. You are the one collapsing infinite probabilities into the lived reality of your highest self. And as you live this truth, you become the call to action for others. So step forward boldly. Step forward consciously. Step forward as the awakened self you were always meant to embody. The universe is already responding. The signs are already aligning. The proof is already within you. This is your proof. This is your timeline. Step into it fully and share this journey with others. You are the signal, and you are already shifting.